ونستعينه ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Today we are still in the Arabic language. We are on lesson. What lesson number is this? 6. Lesson number 6. And in Arabic, we would say ad-darsu sitta. Okay? Or sadis. We say a sadis, actually. Nah. A sadisa. Sadis. The 6th. Okay? The 6th lesson. Oh, wait here. I'm doing the wrong thing. The 6th lesson. In Arabic, we say darsu sadis. The 6th lesson. And we went over last week, just briefly, we went over the abjad. We broke the whole alphabet down, right? And we said the abjad, we were on ba. Can someone recite to me or read from your notes ba? We said alif. Alif is the first of signs. It's makhraj, hard to find. And deep inside my mouth I find a hamza lives inside. With idhar, yes, the alif is itself and also hamza. While hamza is itself, naught else, that's it, just hamza, hamza. Loud and strong, while low restrained, opening sifat. The alif comes along with mud, just following a fat, or shows up at the ends of words right before they crash, separates and demarcates to help the reader pass. Now hamza, as it seems to need a tad more of a sharh, it rides upon the alifun, the waw, and even ya. Shiddatun wa jahrun, samtun istifal. Fathun describes alifun, and 1, it's numeral. Okay? That's alif. And what we learned from that is the tajweed rule for alif, right? What's the tajweed rule for alif? Idhar. So we know with idhar, yes, the alif is itself and also hamza. We also learned that alif is a general term for alif and what else? Hamza. And that there are 2 types of hamza, right? Hamzatul qat'i and hamzatul wasli. And qat'i means cut, and wasli means to join. They are used interspressively. You see, this is the sign right here for this one, and this one is the sign right here. And we went over this and explained that this that you see on top of a hamza, on top of an alif, is actually from the ayn. And that ayn, his tail is cut, and all we're left with is this. Now, why do we use the letter ayn? Because the word qat'i has a predominant ayn at the end of it. So they took this ayn and said, this is going to be the example for the hamzatul qat'i, and only thing remains is the head of it, right? Likewise, and they say break it down to its very last compound. This guys in the Bronx say that. So we're going to break it down to the very last compound. Take it down. Take this down. This one. Just not leave that alone. Thank you. And likewise, we see that this that we see on top of an alif is the sign for wasli. Everybody say wasli, hamzatul wasli. Now we see this all the time. Now this comes from the word wasl. Wasala, which means what? To join. Tabarakallah, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It means to join. And what they did is they took this part of it and which is the sad, and made it the predominant sign to point out wasli. الآن عرفت اللبن. الآن نعم. ما شاء الله بارك الله فينا. تبارك الله. So now we know why that sign is there. Okay? We're understanding this a little bit better, right? Now, could you take that off? Thank you. So now, after say the alif is the first of signs, is makhraj. What is the numeric value? We learned the numeric value of alif. The numeric value. Every letter has a numeric value. Every letter has what? What's the numeric value of alif? 1. Okay, wahid. Okay, and we went over that in the Arabic language, a number is assigned to each letter. And when you see the back of those old classics, they'll put like a secret. They say this one was written in Ta-Sin. And somebody says, well, what does that mean? And then they'll assign a number to each one of you, letting you know that that was revealed in the 14th year after 70 or something like that. You know, and that's how you do the numbers. So the way you want to learn the numbers, you do like this. You just alif, ba, jim, dal, 1, 2, 3, 4, ha, 5, wa, 6, zay is 7, and all the way down. Abjad, hawaz, huttiya, ha, ta, ya, 8, 9, 10. Sa, fa, sad, ain, fa, sin. So this will be 20, 30, 40, 50. You don't have to write this down now. I'm just giving this an example right here. You'll learn them all in their place. I'm just showing you now the power of the Arabic alphabet, what we're supposed to be able to get. Because remember, this whole poem, this whole lesson plan here is to teach us just one part of the lesson. We're learning the harf, right? Arabic is broken down to how many parts?
3 parts.
3 parts. There are 3 parts of the Arabic, all of Arabic. What are those 3 parts? Ismun, which is the first one, right?
Yes.
What does ismun mean?
It's a noun. It's a super noun.
What'd you say?
Super noun.
Super noun, okay.
Noun plus a
Super noun. It is not a noun. Why is it not a noun?
Because it gives descriptions.
description also.
It's more strength, it has more power than the American or Western noun. What is American Western noun? Person, place, or thing. What is the Muslim noun?
Description.
Person, place, or thing, description or adjective, as they say. It includes everything that they have in that is not an action word, and that is not a word a connector, right? So it's extra powered. Super noun. That's one point. What's the other part of the Arabic alphabet? Fi'lun. What is a fi'lun?
Verb or action word.
Verb. And what is a verb? Because since we never learned that in American school, we never learned what a verb was. What is it?
Action word.
Action word. An action word. Any word that points to an action. Give me an example. Come on, give me an example. What am I doing here?
Let's run.
I'm walking, right?
Let's run. Walking.
Run, walk, talk. Anything that you do is an action. Okay? So that's a verb. And what is the last one? Harfun. And it's called the harf because it's so small. It's only a piece. Okay? And the harf, it is broken down into 3 types. There are 3 types of harf. What are the first type? What is it?
Basic letter.
The basic, what do we say?
Basic letter.
Basic letters. We're supposed to know this like the back of our hand. What is the second type of harf?
Letters with meaning.
Letters with meanings. What is the third type?
Connectors.
Connectors. And this is the basis of what we're dealing with now. As a basic letter, there are certain things we need to know about that. Every basic letter, now we have to know the tajweed rule. Before we even get to the tajweed rule, we have to know the sifat of every letter. Right? We have to know how to describe every letter. Description. That's what you have to know. After that, you have to know how to pronounce it, right? Which is what they call the makhraj. The makhraj of every letter. Yarhamakumullah. Right? Then we have to know the tajweed rule of every letter. Right? What else do we have to know? We have to know the numeric value. How do we know we're getting all of this? Because we go to the poem and it says, with Basmalah, Alhamdulillah, then blessings on the Prophet, I'll have my say with you today concerning orthographics. Descriptions of their numerals, points of articulation, as each one comes in, and these are the 2 points of articulation. How it's pronounced by itself, and how it's pronounced when teamed up with other letters. That's the points of articulation. As each one comes and as it does, it has its own sensation. So this is what we need to know just with the basic letters. Do we know that for each letter? No. So we have to start all over at the beginning. Erase this, please. And recognize this is what we're doing. Because we don't have this. Take this off too. Then we can go to the ismun, and then we can go to the fi'lun, and we can learn about the alphabet in a not just the alphabet, the Arabic language in a comprehensive format. Hey, you erased mine. That's okay. Get this over here too. Okay, no. Okay, so now, just as a quick review again, we said alif, its numeric value is what? 1. Its tajweed rule is what? Are we going to get into what idhar is? No. Why? Because we're setting you up to be a winner. Knowledge, with its great benefit, has to be taken stair-stepped. One thing precedes the next. As you learn this, when you go on after this class, after learning the alphabet, you go to learn tajweed from a sheikh. The sheikh over there teaches tajweed. And because now you became familiar with the term and you attach it to that letter, when he starts to tell you, okay, idhar, and he explains to you in detail that idhar is from the word dhuhr, and your back is your dhuhr, and he starts to, you clarify something, and we pray dhuhr in the middle of the day, right? To make something clear, he starts to do that, and he says, well, this is when you get this alif, and it comes before a noon, a sakin, and you say an, as opposed to an, or ay. This is called idhar. And he goes through that, you're familiar with it. One step precedes the other. It won't be the first time you've heard it, and you'll be able to go on to the next stage of your education. Here, our purpose is to familiarize you with that letter and what's attached to it. Now, alif is a little bit more complicated than the other letters, because not only do we know that alif is hamza, alif and hamza, but we have to know that alif by itself, it comes along with mud. Alif comes with mud. What is mud? Everybody say mud.
Mad.
Mud and fat. Everybody say fat. What this means is that whenever you see an alif, everybody say alif, not hamza. Whenever you see an alif, it's being preceded with a fatha. What has come before it is what? Fatha. Everybody say qala. What preceded the alif? Everybody say kana. What preceded the alif? This is the rule. We call it the rule. The exception to the rule would be in a word like billahi. You see, this is an alif and it's preceded with a kasra. But that's the exception, not the rule. That's the what? Exception. We draw the rule on what is predominant. We draw the rule in what is ghalib, what happens most of the time. Most of the time, 99% of the time, you will see an alif preceded with a what? And when an alif is preceded with a fatha, this construction is called mad. Everybody say mad. Now mad means this. It means to stretch something. Everybody say ah. That's what an fatha gives you. Everybody say ah. Now when an alif comes afterwards, you stretch it slightly. You say ah. So everybody say qala. You don't say qala. You say qala. You don't say kana, you say kana. You understand that? And I use these two words because these are two most words in the Quran. You see kana and qala a lot in the Quran. So we want to use words to get you accustomed to them. Now alif comes along with my just following a fact, or shows up at the ends of words right before they crash. Okay, now we're going to show you, it said it shows up at the ends of words right before they crash. Okay, keep going. Thank you. Alif also comes, instead of kana, now we're going to do kanu. Everybody say kanu. Kanu. And everybody say qalu. Qalu. Here, we see that alif comes at the end of the word, right? This alif here, that comes at the end of the word, it comes in here or shows up at the ends. And the purpose of this is to let you know that this word has ended. That's it. That's the only reason it's there. To let you know this word has ended. Okay, erase that. Now, we're going to ba now. I gave you enough time to look at your notes and look at ba. That's our review for today. Now we're at ba. We're going to review ba right quick. Now, ba, what was ba going? Jahrun and shiddatu sifatun shared by ba, like istifal and infitah. It's numeral ithnan. When ba, the letter shows up right after a noon, sakinan al tanwinan, iqlabun is the rule. With dalakun, fly off the lips, its makhraj is the same. With qalqala, resounding loud, the ba blurts out its name. We break down the ba in the same way. We're looking for its numeric value. What's its numeric value? 2. It says jahrun and shiddatu sifatun shared by ba. Like istifal and infitah, its numeral ithnan. Ithnan and 2 are the same thing. Okay? But then it starts to tell you with qalqala, it has qalqala as a tajweed rule, right? And it also has qalqala as a sifat, how to describe that letter. It says jahrun and shidda. Jahrun, everybody say jahrun. It's to say something loud. Shidda, everybody say shidda. It's to say it with strength. These are two sifatun shared by ba, meaning they're also in alif. Like istifal, everybody say istifal. And infitah. It's numeral. Now istifal means to keep your tongue flat. Everybody go like this. Say ba. And keep your tongue flat. Now raise your tongue. Okay, ba. That's not the ba we're looking for. So ba has to keep the tongue low. Okay? Shidda, you have to say it with strength. Infitah, you have to open your mouth like a what? Door. Like a door. It's numeral ithnan. When ba, the letter shows up right after a what? Noon. Why did we mention noon? Somebody tell me. Not the sheikh. Nobody knows. Okay. But nobody remembers last week. We said tanween and we said noon. Noon sakin. Everybody say noon sakin. This is the basic for all tajweed. Tajweed surrounds, basic tajweed surrounds understanding how the letters are affected when they are standing next to the letter what? Noon, or they have tanween next to it. What is tanween? Tanween is from the word noon. Everybody say noon. Noon. Tanween, tanween. What's the word in the middle of this word? Noon. Everything else, the ta and the ya are added. The basic of the word is this noon. Tanween means to make the noon sound. Just like we say ilm. Everybody say ilm. And we say ta'aleem. Right? You see the added ta and the ya in the middle. The other thing left is ilm. Right? That's what's it. That's how it. Everybody say wahada. Now say tawheed. The ta is added, the waw is in the ha, and the dal is the only thing left. Means wahid. So this is how we construct the word to show that it is the object of that thing. Okay? So tanween is to make the noon sound. What is tanween? No. Tanween is to make the noon sound. What is tanween? Tanween is to make the noon sound. Okay, so when noon is sakin, which is an actual noon, and sakin means it has no vowel sound over it, or tanween, which is not the actual noon, but it's the sound of a noon. You don't write the noon down, but you pronounce it. And you don't pronounce it if you don't stop at the end of that word. That's the difference between the two. It's very technical. I'm not going to really get into it hard today because I don't want to confuse you. But I want you to understand that this is tanween and this is noon. They both mean to make the noon sound. Everybody say N. N. Now, that may change based on the letter that comes next to it. For example, everybody say Ra. Ra. Ra has its power of its own self. If you put a noon next to a Ra, you do not hear the noon anymore.
Ar-Rasul.
Ar-Rasul. Or you say Ar-Rahman. That's a lamb right there. I want to say Mir Rabbihim. That's what I had in my mind. You confused me. Mir Rabbihim. Everybody say that. Mir Rabbihim. Right. You don't say Min Rabbihim. You say Mir Rabbihim. The noon disappears. That's the tajweed rule. So every letter has a tajweed rule and it's attached to noon or tanween. Erase this stuff down here or this other stuff. Not like that, but this stuff right here. Okay, so what happens now, it says when ba, the letter shows up right after a noon. So when ba shows up right after noon, right? Whether that noon is sakina or tanweenan, what's the rule? Iqlab is the rule. So iqlab, everybody say iqlab. Iqlab. Is the tajweed rule attached to ba. Okay? And we ain't going to get into what iqlab is. It's not my job. That's the sheikh's job to teach you what iqlab is. My job is just to let you know that iqlab is tied to which letter? Ba. Iqlab is tied to which letter? Ba. And that's what you need to know. So when he tells you ba make iqlab, you already know what he's talking about. He'll explain to you how he exactly wants you to flip that. Okay, I'm teasing. That's what iqlab means. Okay, so iqlab in this room. With dhalakun, everybody say dhalakun, is another sifat, a description of this. It flies off the lips. Say fly off the lips.
Flies off the lips.
Off the lips. Now here you see something done that's not done other places. We're telling you exactly how to pronounce that letter. Exactly how you're going to articulate the letter. The letter ba comes where? Off the lips. There's no doubt you will know exactly how to pronounce every letter in the Arabic alphabet. Fly off the lips. And the makhraj, it said the makhraj is the same. So the makhraj is to fly off the lips. The point of articulation. And dhalakun means it's just it's a word, a technical word that lets you know that this letter ba comes off the lips. Okay? And then qalqala. Everybody say qalqala. Qalqala is the sound that ba comes when it's by. So everybody say ib. Don't it sound like you're saying ba? So that says with qalqala resounding loud, the ba blurts out its name. What's the name of ba? What's ba's name? Ba. So say ibba. See, it blurted out. It stuck it out real easy. Its name. Erase this, the whole board, please. Now we're getting to today's lesson. Today's lesson is, what's the next letter after ba? Nope. Jim. Everybody say abjad. Hawaz. Huttiya kaliman. Sa'fas. Kurishat. Thaqid. Dadig. Say abjad. Abjad. Abjad is the first. Oh, this is kind of wet. Thank you. Abjad is the first letter that we're dealing with. And abjad is how you say alifun, ba, jim, and dal. Say abjad. Abjad. Let me get that, please. And I'm going to put this here because I want you guys to know it. All right? Say abjad. Abjad. And I want to focus on that. Abjad. Abjad. Everybody say abjad. Abjad. Now, that means we're going to go over the alif, the ba, the jim, and the dal. Okay? But today, we're just going to go over the jim. I'm going to go fast. So pay attention. He says, mix qalqala. This one he writes it as though it's making a potion. Mix qalqala, everybody say it.
Mix qalqala.
With samtun.
With samtun.
Then a fathun.
Then a fathun.
Istifal.
Istifal.
Add shidda.
Shidda.
I mean, more people in here than that. To a jahrun. And a jimun. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Has begun. Complete the jimun using.
Complete the jimun using.
Just the middle of the tongue.
Just the middle of the tongue.
Then raise it up.
Raise it up.
Enunciate.
Enunciate.
The jimun should be done.
The jimun should be done.
The quantitative measure.
The quantitative measure.
Measure for the ikhfa in the jim.
In the jim.
Now we're losing people. Is that it's equal to a 1 that's just been multiplied by 3. Okay, seems like a lot. We're going to get it done. It starts off, mix qalqala with samtum, then a fathun istifal, add shidda to a jahrun, and a jimun has began. Complete the jimun using just the middle of the tongue, then raise it up, enunciate. The jimun should be done. The quantitative measure for the ikhfa in the jim is that is equal to a 1 that's just been multiplied by 3. Let's go over this word for word, point by point, and we'll get it done. Mix qalqala with samtun. Everybody say qalqala. These are the sifat or the descriptions of the letter jim. Say qalqala, samtun, fathun, istifal, shidda, and jahrun. Those are the sifat. Those are the descriptions of them. When we talk about the descriptions, we're talking about those things that you have to bring with past just pronouncing the letter. Okay? Let me explain. Qalqala, everybody's qalqala is a beating sound. Okay? Qalqala is a beating sound. What is qalqala? Say the whole sentence. So that means that the letter of jim, it beats. Everybody say ajja. Al-hajj. You hear that sound? That j at the end? That's the qalqala. Okay? Now samtun is a type of restraint. Okay? It's restraint. You hold the letter. Say ajja. You have to hold it in. Then it fathun. Say ja. If you say ja, your mouth is too much. So you have to bring it out. You have to open your mouth like a doorway. And it's the fail. Your tongue has to be flat. Everybody say ja. You see your tongue is flat? Ja. When you open your mouth, your tongue should be at the bottom. Shidda, you have to say it with strength. And jahrun, you have to verbalize it loud. Okay? Now he says here, it says, mix qalqala with samtun. Then a fathun istifal. Add shidda to a jahrun and a jimun has begun. He didn't say it was complete. He said this jimun has begun if you know the sifat. Why it's not complete? Because you have to know the makhraj, the point of articulation. So he says, complete the jimun using just the middle of your tongue. Look at my tongue. The middle, across the middle. The way the jim, that every letter has a different way of being pronounced. The jim, it goes up. It sucks up. Ijja. The sound, the wetness of the middle of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth. And as it pulls away, the sound comes. If you raise it up, say it. If you don't remove your tongue from the top, the sound of the jim does not come out. So that istifal has to come, that separation has to come. And it has to be moist. Say ijja. Say ja. Al-hajj. Now try and keep your tongue up. Say al-hajj. You don't hear the jim, do you? Because the sound comes through what? Through separate. Pay attention, people. The sound comes through separating the tongue, the middle of the tongue from the top to the bottom. That istifal is very important. And that fathun. Say hajja. You see? That fathun, you have to open your mouth like a what? Like a doorway. And your tongue has to be what? Flat, low in your mouth. This is how. Complete the jim using just the middle of the tongue. Then raise it up. It's telling you to take your tongue, raise it up, enunciate. Enunciate is that separation. That's when you blow the air and you make the sound, and that's something. You don't let the air go at one time. So, you say, ijja. So you raise your middle of your tongue up, the middle of your tongue up, and you enunciate is that separation. The jim should be done. If you do it right like that, now you have properly pronounced with detail, dabtan, how to pronounce the letter jim. Okay? Just raise it up, enunciate, the jim should be done. The quantitative measure, what does that mean? The quantitative measure. Come on, some of you engineers and scientists in here. What is quantitative measure? What'd you say? The amount. Quantitative measure is a big word or two big words to mean the amount. The numeric value. Okay? The quantitative measure for the ikhfa. Why did he say ikhfa?
That's the tajweed rule.
The tajweed rule for ba is ikhfa. Now again, it's not my job to tell you what ikhfa is. Okay? It's not my job. But I'm giving you hints. Ikhfa, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it means. The sheikh, he's going to teach you all what ikhfa means. But ikhfa is tied to ba. Okay? I'm sorry, to jim. Astaghfirullah. Iqlab is ba. Jim is ikhfa. Ikhfa, jazakumullah khair.
It's also with ba too.
Qal iqlab is in ba. But that's in dealing with another thing. I'm not going to talk about that right now. So, it's ikhfa in the jim. Is that it's equal to a 1. So what is the numeric value for jim?
3.
How do you know?
That's your abjad. You give me the.
Okay. Now he did it the easy way. He said all you have to do is go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how you know. But where do you find it in this poem?
It's at the end.
What? How do you know? It says it's equal.
That's just been multiplied by 3.
That's equal to it's equal to a 1. He said it's 1.
That's just been multiplied.
Oh, that's just been multiplied. So what is 3 times 1?
3.
Okay, so then the quantitative measure for the ikhfa and jim is that it's 3. That's all we need to know with this right here. Do I have any questions about this? Is this easy? No. Real easily you learn how. The point is this. Knowledge is specific. You can't fake it. You can't make it up. If you want to know how to pronounce this letter, the problems we have is because we don't go from the very small to the big. We want to jump up on the big because we're grown folks. Learn how to pronounce these letters. Learn the haqq al-huruf, the rights of the letters, and we can go on to learn the other letters and the other things that go with this. Kulthum. Slide over so you can look at the board. Okay, I'm going to take this off. We're going to, the Makeen will give out handouts about this, inshallah ta'ala, so you guys can memorize it. And we're going on to the next part of our lesson. The next part of our lesson is dealing with إِنَّ الْكَلَامَ عِنْدَنَا فَلْتَسْتَمِعْ لفظ, recite with me, لفظ مركب مفيد قد أقسامه التي عليها يبنى اسم وفعل ثم حرف أيوة. So now we're talking about the language again. We're back to our, take that abjad off too. we're still doing the same thing. We're going through the whole alphabet, right? And at the same time, we're going over as a review of the whole Arabic alphabet. And we're here on the letter harf. The letter harf is very, very important. We said that it's a third of the language, right? Yes. The harf is a third of the language. What are the parts of the language? Come on, everybody should know this. Don't sit there and just sit there. Okay, so ismun wa fi'lun wa harfun, right? But it's not any type of harfun. It's a certain type. So harfun is a third of the language. 1/3 of Arabic language is a harf, language. And the harf is broken down to how many parts?
3 parts.
There are 3 parts of harf. 3 types, I should say.
3 types.
What are the 3 types? We're doing this. Redundancy is our king.
Basic letter.
Basic letter, right? We just went over basic letter, right? Letters with meaning.
Connector.
And connectors. The reason why we're talking about this, because we said أقسامه التي عليها يبنى اسم وفعل ثم حرف معنى. There's an ismun, there's a fi'lun, then there's a harful ma'na. There's a letter, there's these harf that has a meaning. So that means that some of these letters don't have a meaning. Okay? It just means the letters that have a meaning. And that means the connectors. Okay? That's what we're referring to. Falismu, then it goes on to say falismu, if you want to know the ism, falismu bil khafdi. Khafdi. Wa bit tanwini. Here what's going on now is it's explaining to you how to recognize an ismu. فالاسم بالخفض وبالتنوين أو دخول ال يعرف فقف ما قفاه. Okay, let me go over this again. Recite it. فالاسم بالخفض وبالتنوين أو دخول ال يعرف فقف ما قفاه. Here we're going to go over this very easy. Al-ism, everybody say ism. It can be recognized. Let's say I write a bunch of words on the board. Like, see these words up here? I said that the Arabic language has 3 types of words, right? Which one of these words is an ismun? Which one of these is a fi'lun? Which one of them is a harfun? You have to know the things to recognize what is what, right? So it's going to explain to you. An ismun is known by, the first thing it's known by is he says al-khafdi. Everybody say al-khafdi. Al-khafdi is something low. It's the opposite of something high. Okay? As a terminology, it is a kesra that comes under a word or anything that comes in place of a kesra. Okay? What we're talking about now has to be understood in the context of grammar. We spoke earlier and we said grammar is the science through which we recognize and learn what a word means after adding it into a sentence due to the changes that occur at the end of the word. What do we mean at the end of the word? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. We mean that a word has 3 radicals. How many radicals does it have?
3 radicals.
And a radical is a letter. There's 3 main parts to the root of a word. So the last radical, this right here, this letter, what changes happen to it? From, let's say I have this word al-khafdi. Okay? Al-khafdi. Everybody say al-khafdi.
Al-khafdi.
Now it has a kesra on it. Let's say al-khafdu. Now say al-khafda. You see these changes? We went from 1, 2, 3 changes at the end of the word. That's what the study of grammar is. The study of grammar in Arabic tells you why is it that we made these changes. Do you know why? Because a dhamma, this is a dhamma, everybody say dhamma, has a particularized meaning and reason for being there. Everybody say fatha. It has a particularized reason for being there. And everybody say kasra. It has a particular reason for being there. And the reasons are not the same. So if a word has a dhamma on it, we understand with specificality exactly what that word implies and means. Not just literally, but as a grammatical statement. Likewise, if it has a fatha on it, we automatically know that it is being affected by something else. That's what this means. The asl, the fundamental is that the word is going to have dhamma. What's the asl?
That the word is going to have dhamma.
So if it has dhamma, it's correct. It's supposed to have dhamma. All right? If it doesn't have dhamma, it has to have a reason why it doesn't have dhamma. And the reasons can only be shown and borne out in these two different types of examples. Both of them meaning that the word is being affected. Is that understandable? Yes. Now, right now, it's too complicated for me to explain exactly what type of effect each one of them mean. However, I want you to know, at least right now, that the dhamma is the asl, and the other two mean something happened. Something happened. And we need to know what that something is. And we can tell what that something is by seeing what happened here. Okay? Everybody follow me? Yes. Okay. Now, al-khafdi is an expression pointing to this one. The kasra. Al-khafdi is pointing to that whatever happened, it happened with this kasra. So it tells us something very, very important here. That kasra doesn't come on any other type of word. How many types of words are there in Arabic?
3.
How many types?
3.
1, 2, 3. What types are they? Ismun, fi'lun, and harfun. So now we know there will never be a kasra on a fi'lun. There will never be a kasra on a harf. If you see a kasra, you automatically know 100% of the time that that word is an ismun. That's the confidence. You can go out and just look at it. You look at a word and say, oh, that's a kasra at the end of the word. Oh, it's an ismun. And you know what an ismun is, right? What's an ismun?
Supernoun.
Supernoun, right? But as a terminology, it is a word that points to a meaning what? Come on, people.
It's a word that points to a meaning of another word.
No, it points to a meaning in and of itself. Everybody say that. I mean, it's a word that points to a meaning in and of itself. And is not connected to a time frame. For example, person, place, thing, or description. Kalimatun dallat ala ma'na fi nafsiha wa lam taqtarin bizaman. That's what it is. A word that points to a meaning in and of itself. What do we mean when we say in and of itself? We mean by that, we don't have to need another word to understand what we're talking about. That word is so strong, when we say it, its meaning is independent of anything else. Like when we say Islam, there is no other word that means Islam. So that word Islam has a meaning in and of itself, independent of any other words. And it's not connected to a time frame. So, When we see this kesra, we'll go back here. This little bitty kesra lets us know all of that. Ismun. We know khafdi is tied to an ismun, and it's not tied to any other type of word. That's very important. And you'll find its importance later on, inshallah. Erase this right here, please.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, you can do it without the heading. Just ask.
It's on the fakfu map.
Faqfu ma qafal. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I need to understand that.
Faqfu al-qufuwa, al-qafwa is to follow. This part of the poem right here, Faqfu ma qafal, is in order. It means follow the path of those people who went before you. Okay? Usluk tariq as-salaf as-salih. Follow the path of those of the ones that set before you. Meaning, this is Arabic language. You don't have to make it up. It's not the science that it's not like usul al-fiqh, where you can derive something and istinbat, right? This is a science that is naqlan. Everybody say naqlan. Naqlan means that it's passed down. Abin an jad. From grandfather to son. Okay? That's how it comes down. You don't have to say, well, let me think about it. You ain't got nothing to think about. Faqfu ma qafal. Follow the path of those who went before you. And it's no brain matter here. It's strict memorization. That's what it is. Learning what the rules are, you cannot break them. It's not like that. Unless you have a poetic license and then, it looks like this. No, I'm teasing. No, but that's what that means. Faqfu ma qafal. Is it time for the adhan? Okay, good. So here, that's what that means. Does that answer your question, sir?
What's the structure of the grammar?
Faqfu is a fi'l al-amr. It's an order, right? The waw here is for the plurality of it. The alif is why. Why is the alif there?
What's that matter?
Hold on. What's the alif there for? To let you know the end of the word. We already know that, right? By learning alif, we know the alif is there just to let you know the word is ended. Fa is for fasiha. Okay? So then, follow. So iqfu, follow the path. And ma is alladhi. It comes with the ma al-mawsula. The ma that comes with the meaning of alladhi. Ma that comes with the meaning of this or that. Just like we say in English, what? Okay? Qafal is a fi'lul madi. Or it's a past tense verb. The alif is there for what? What's the alif there for? End of the word. The rest of the word is part of the root. Qafawa. Okay, does that answer your question?
You said that was what? Fi'lun what?
Fi'lul madi. A past tense verb, meaning they did that. The wow here is for plurality also. Playing a double, purpose. But most of the people here are not there, so I'm not going to continue on that one. Does that answer your question? Okay, so this is naqlan. The Arabic language is naqlan. Everybody say naqlan. You don't have to memorize the term, you have to memorize what it means. What it means is that Arabic is passed down. We memorize the rules and we utilize the rules. There's no one that can say, well, look, I'm going to make up a new rule now in Arabic. No, you can't do that. You know why? Because the Quran has preserved it. The Hadith have preserved it. And the Thiqat al-Arab, the poetry, the shi'r of Arabic language has preserved it. And that is proof. The first proof in Arabic language is Quran. The second proof is a Hadith. The Prophet said it that way, then you can say it that way. First of all, if Allah said it that way, then it can be said that way. And that's what it is. We don't have to make nothing up. Does that answer everybody's question? So today we learned one rule. The rule is that al-khafdi is tied to kasra, and kasra is only in what type of word? Let me do another one since I got 2 minutes left. Okay? Everybody say tanween. Tanween is a fathatan, a dhammatan, or a kasratan. Okay? Everybody say fathatan, dhammatan, kasratan. You will only find a dhammatan, a kasratan, or a fathatan in a ismun. It's only going to be in ismun. It's never going to be in a harfun or a fi'lun. Do you understand that? It's very important. And tanween or fathatan means 2 fathas or 2 kasras or 2 dhammas back to back. This is the Arabic language. It's very, very easy. The ismun is dealt with first bisumuwiha because it's lofty over its other 2 sisters. And you need it in every type of speech. So, we have the rule here. It has khafti and it has tanween. أو دخول al. Al. Everybody say al. Al means the. And if you see al in front of a word, you know that word is what? It's an ismun. Because you can't say the run. He was the I run. Doesn't make sense. The I talk. Just like that in Arabic, you can't say that. So, likewise, it's only going to be in an ismun. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.